Hello, in this video I need to address an issue that's come up in the comments of some of my videos, and this is about me saying that driving anxiety has nothing to do with driving. Now, over the years I've made over 400 videos about the fear of driving, and I've often said, as I just did, that driving anxiety has nothing to do with driving and that a fear of flying has nothing to do with flying. And some people have said things like, I find your theory fascinating, can you tell me more about it? The problem's nothing to do with what you think it is. And some people have said it's ridiculous, of course it's to do with driving because it's driving. And other people have said, well, I like your ideas, and how did you get this? How did you form this theory? I don't think people understand, it's not my theory. I didn't come up with this thing about driving anxiety has nothing to do with driving. It's a fact. It's been known for decades. Now, I've done another video on hypnotherapy books, so I'll link to that one at the end of this. But let's look at a few books. For example, this one, The Art of Hypnotherapy by Roy Hunter, is one of the most highly respected and regarded texts on hypnotherapy. Now, I don't agree with everything in this book, but the whole thing is about, Marcus come out, the whole thing is about how the problem isn't the problem, about finding what the problem really is, about digging down, and this chapter is all about techniques you can use to find what the symptom is. So driving anxiety is a symptom of another problem. It's not my theory. People seem to think that I've invented this thing about driving anxiety has nothing to do with driving, and it's some kind of sales gimmick. No, it's a therapy fact. Any therapist who knows anything about anything knows that the problem isn't the problem. And it's very worrying when some therapists think the problem is the problem. That's weird. Now, I'm not medically trained, but it's very much like, it's very similar to how if you go and see a doctor and you say, this is what I'm feeling, well, they're symptoms. So if you've got maybe, I don't know, a rash on your arm, you don't probably put a cream on and treat it, maybe you would, but that could be a sign of something else. That's the symptom. What's the real problem, the root cause? We all know this, right? We all know about symptoms and root causes. So you experience, for example, a headache. It could just be a headache. It could be a sign of you're working too much, you've had too much stress or whatever. That's the real problem. The headache's the symptom. Let's look at another book. One of the all-time greats, Hypnotherapy by Dave Elman. You can see my other video on books if you want to learn more about these. The whole book, all of this, and I mentioned doctors just now because people do sometimes say, oh, you're not a doctor, you shouldn't be doing this, you're not a doctor, you're not qualified to be doing this. Nonsense. Dave Elman taught hundreds, probably thousands of doctors. Doctors went to this hypnotherapist to learn how to use hypnosis with their patients. So the whole book, as you mentioned here, the textbooks, this I've just random, this is, you just come on page 123. The textbooks warn doctors to beware of it, stating that the doctor might be unable to rouse the patient from the state. They're talking there about something called the Esdale state, which is said to be the deepest state of hypnosis. Whereas I've mentioned before, you can hypnotise people to such an extent you can amputate limbs, and it's been done. Dave Elman works with many doctors who performed surgery with hypnosis. So people who say it's fake will go and tell the people who've had surgery done with hypnosis, and they'll tell you it's not fake. This whole book is about case studies of him finding what the problem really is. Let's see if I can find a chapter. So I do find it funny when people think that I've made this thing up about driving anxiety has nothing to do with driving. I'm just following what I was taught. And any therapist who doesn't do that, you have to wonder what they're on about. Here's a chapter on phobias and morbid fears. Let's just see if it says anything about it here. It says, one of the most interesting experiences a doctor can have is the tracking down of a phobia. And it says, this is a quote from one of the all-time greats, Dave Elman. It is my contention that every phobia can be tracked to its originating source, and that bringing this source to the conscious attention of the patient in many cases helps the patient tremendously, and in some cases results in a complete correction. There you go. I mean, this is just a fairly short video to say it's not my idea, it's not a theory. I'm not here as some kind of, trailblazer who's worked out that driving anxiety has nothing to do with driving. Every therapist is supposed to know that, and I'd be worried about any that don't, because any therapist who works on the driving is going against the first thing you learn in the first day of your training. Except I didn't. That's for another story for another video. But the first thing you learn on day one of therapy training, the most basic underpinning thing of all therapy work and all change work, is the problem is never the problem. What someone presents you with is symptoms, and the whole point is to work out what it is. So people who are working on the driving directly, the therapists who are doing that, I just wonder, how are they even doing that? I just don't get it. It's like you're going against the most basic principle of therapy, which is in many books like these from the all-time greats. So please don't think that this is my revolutionary idea. It's not. This is what I was trained to do. And I've trained in college, I've trained online, I've trained in person. It's the same in all the courses. I've never been on a course. I've done many of them. None of them have ever taught me to work directly on the problem. That's just weird. Anyway, check out these other videos of mine on the screen now. Thanks for watching, and if you do want to work with me one-to-one online from anywhere in the world, you can contact me through my website, firstdrive.com. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.